So as Michelle said, my name is Liam Renan, I'm an engineer. I'm Dean of Graduate Studies up until the end of this month, and then I'll be heading off to become head of the School of Engineering. So first thing, how many people are coming straight from an undergraduate course? Okay, so I'm assuming that the rest of you have been out in the real world for a while. First of all, congratulations, well done, especially those who have completed their undergraduate course this year. You've got to the level that will get you in here for a postgraduate course. Welcome back to those of you who have been out for a while, and maybe some of you are coming into formal education for the first time. That's great. The academic structure of the university, it's broken up into 4 colleges. So there's CEFS, Science, Engineering, Food Science, where I'm based, Arts, Celtic Studies and Social Sciences, Medicine and Health, Business and Law. Everybody here in the room is from Business and Law or CACS, from Arts, Celtic Studies and Social Sciences. So we had the same group this morning from the other 2 colleges. I think the thing you've got to realize is that there are a wide range of courses and there's a wide range of students. Most of you in this room are here because this is your first time in UCC. Okay, so we invite you to come to this induction, and we kind of work on the understanding that people who have done their undergraduate degree here in Cork understand UCC and don't need as much information. So all of you are the new people coming in, but there are as many, if not more, who are coming straight from undergraduate in UCC. Okay, it's growing as a university. We're trying to go towards the target of a 70-30 split. Of 70% undergraduate, 30% postgraduate. At the moment, that's probably around 26, 27. I'm not quite sure of the exact stats. The other thing to understand is when we talk about postgraduate, I'm Dean of Graduate Studies. That covers both research and taught masters, taught courses. I think the main thing that you need to get your head around is that for most of you, especially those of you who are doing a taught masters, maybe there are 1 or 2 exceptions, the course is of 1 year, 1 calendar year duration. It's very short. You need to hit the ground running. The structure in UCC is normally, we have, starting Monday, we have a 12-week semester. After that, you'll have a study week, and then there will be 2 weeks of exams before Christmas. There's then a break, the Christmas holidays, and we're starting back in the middle of January, another 12-week of teaching. There'll then be 3 weeks break around Easter, and then there's another 2-week exam period. After that, most of you will then be getting into your dissertation. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But the one thing I think you need to realize is that us as academic staff, okay, so we treat the undergraduate population as adults, but we really treat you as adults. For a lot of the things, I'm afraid, the responsibility is on you. It's your responsibility to know about the courses, to know about the structures, to find out information. Ask. Okay, you need to find out the information. You need to take responsibility for your learning. You should not arrive this time next year with any surprises. Okay, maturity and independence are assumed. Okay, some of you will be on conversion courses where you're going from one area that is, your undergraduate degree to something that is slightly different. However, you've got to realize that a conversion course like that is trying to perhaps get to the same level that a 3 or a 4-year undergraduate course would get you to. So it's a lot of work, a lot of pressure on you, but you're treated as graduates. Or else you're becoming more knowledgeable about the area that you've already studied in, where you're trying to take it to an extra level of understanding and analysis. Right? The one thing I would say is the following. Most of you will write a dissertation and most of you will be doing a literature review at some stage within your studies, okay? If it's part of your dissertation, it'll probably be a chapter within your dissertation. If in some courses they organize doing the literature review as a separate model. But the one thing I would strongly urge you to take on board is that a literature review is not a regurgitation of what somebody else has done. You have to put some thought and an analysis into the literature review. You have to contribute to the understanding of the literature. You have to critically analyze, point out the strengths and weaknesses of whatever somebody else has written, okay? That is what I think postgraduate studies is really about, okay? It's not like in an undergraduate degree where you're reading something and then you're reproducing that in an exam or something like that. When you're doing a literature review, there is the expectation that you are critically analyzing what you're reading, as well as understanding what you're reading. Okay, so you need to give that some thought. So you need to be thinking about you're comparing and contrasting the results that you're getting. You're analyzing what you've read, you've seen the strengths and weaknesses, you're adding to the knowledge of that literature. Okay, as I said, most of you, the structure that we have adopted for the vast majority of postgraduate courses of taught masters is the 60-30 split. Now that will vary with some of you, but what I mean by that is you will have 60 credits of taught elements, 30 credits of a dissertation. It does vary across courses. It sometimes goes as high as 40 credits or 45 credits. It sometimes goes as low as 20 credits. But it is a requirement when somebody is putting forward a course proposal, it is a requirement that there is at least a third of research embedded into the course, either through the dissertation or a separate literature review module or something like that. Okay? So most of you will be doing a dissertation. Most of you are probably now sitting thinking, oh, well, we'll do that in May when all the taught elements are over. If you do, you will be sitting here this time next year. No, you won't be sitting here. You will be frantically in the library or at home trying to type up and cobble something together to meet the deadline of the submission of your dissertation. I strongly urge you to start thinking about it now, to start finding out what are the requirements, to start finding out as soon as possible what your topic is, to start looking at the literature, to start doing the groundwork, so that when you are finished the taught modules, you are well on top of what your dissertation is. If you leave it go until the taught modules are finished, you will find yourself in difficulty. Experience shows us that, so please start thinking about your dissertation as soon as your course coordinator mentions it, as soon as your course coordinator says you should start thinking about it, or as soon as your course coordinator says, here's the project that you're working on, or whatever way your course organizes the dissertation, okay? So the important message is, if you're waiting until next May when the exams are finished, you will find yourself in trouble. Do the groundwork now, okay? That's not to take away from the study that you have to do the taught modules, but hey, whoever said it was going to be easy to get a postgraduate award? You have to put in the work, okay? One of the things, I know you've probably heard this in your undergraduate education, this thoughts about plagiarism, okay? Unfortunately, the opportunities for people taking shortcut and being lazy, and when they find themselves in trouble, people do take shortcuts. We see it in dissertations, okay? So please be aware, plagiarism is just not acceptable. Now, you might say, well, look what he's saying, he's plagiarized everything, because I've taken the following couple of slides from www.plagiarism.org, but I'm telling you now, so I suppose maybe I'm not plagiarizing, or I have it in. So you can assume that all of the following slides are in inverted commas. But the thing is that you need to know what is regarded as plagiarism in your discipline, okay? Some areas, some practices are acceptable, some are not. You need to find out, you need to be informed, you need to take responsibility with regard to plagiarism, okay? And remember that plagiarism is not just copying words, okay? It's also copying ideas and taking ideas from other places. So, it's an act of fraud. Don't do it. It's not worth the risk. Okay? So, you can go on the different websites if you're unsure. These are the general definitions of what plagiarism is. But also, if in doubt, talk to your academics. Get the guidelines from them. What are the requirements for the dissertation in French, in Italian, in history, in accounting, or whatever discipline you're in? Find out the local knowledge, the local norms of what is expected. How do you put in the references? How do you put in quotations? How do you use footnotes, etc.? Okay? You need to avoid plagiarism. You need to cite the sources. You need to paraphrase. You need to put things in inverted commas. You need to think about it, but also you need to think about the fact that it is not just words, it is also ideas. So don't rob somebody else's analysis and just rewrite the whole thing. Give the reference. Okay? Don't do it. There is a UCC policy on plagiarism if you want the exact rules and regulations and how it's dealt with as a discipline case. It's on the website of the exams office, and you can go read it if you really want to, but I just suggest you don't do it. How many people have used Turnitin? Okay, so some of you. Now, some courses insist on using Turnitin, and your course coordinator or module coordinator will tell you about that. But there is software available that academics can use if they suspect plagiarism. The one thing I would strongly urge you to avoid is, I'll just write it and I'll put it into Turnitin myself and see what score, and I'll jiggle it around until I get an acceptable score. I mean, you're fooling yourself if you do that. Just start from day one, I'm going to avoid plagiarism and follow the rules and regulations. Talking about rules and regulations, if you think it's been interesting up to now, I'm afraid you're definitely going to fall asleep in the next few minutes. But what I want to put across to you is just some information so that you understand how UCC organizes its academic programs and how you can find out information on the correct information. So there are three documents are three websites now that you need to think about. One is called the Postgraduate Calendar, one is called the Book of Modules, and one is called the Marks and Standards. They are all available on the UCC website, and if you go to the website, the front page, and you see current students, if you click on that, you will then see academic information, and you click on that, everything is there, okay? But I just want to try and explain to you what type of information you can find in these three websites so that you have some ideas about it. Basically, the calendar gives you the course structure. So whether you're doing a taught master's, a postgraduate diploma, or a certificate, the information is up on the calendar and it's listed. When you go into, say, the degree of master, you will then find the college listed. You go into the college, you will then find the course that you're doing listed there. So for example, the MA in Creative Writing, the type of information that you will find on the calendar is that it is an NFQ, a national framework of qualifications. It's level 9. So level 8 is an honours bachelor's, level 9 is a master's and postgraduate diploma, level 10 is a PhD, okay? So if you're doing the MA in Creative Writing, you're doing a level 9 award. It gives you the number of credits. It's a 90 credit award. Most of our masters are 90 credits awards. Some are 120. Most of the diplomas are 60 credit awards, most of the certificates are 30 credit awards. That kind of gives you an idea of the workload for each of the different awards. However, the calendar takes it a step further and delves in under the bonnet of the type of the layout of the course. So what this will tell you, what the calendar tells you under the program requirements, is that there is a part 1, which is 50 credits, and a part 2, which is 40 credits. So the dissertation in the MA in creative writing is worth 40 credits, okay? The part 1 is 50 credits, and when you delve in there, you will see that there is one core module that everybody has to take, worth 5 credits, and then you have an option of 9 other modules worth 45 credits that you can take to build up the 50 credits required, okay? So the calendar gives you the structure, the requirements of the course. It gives you the layout of the course, in other words, okay? And the other thing is that the calendar is a document that goes through an approval process within the university, and in one way you can look at this as the legal contract that we are giving you. This is what, if you do the MA in creative writing or the MA in history or whatever course you're doing, this is what you're going to get, and this is what you should expect to see in your timetable and in the course options that are available. You can see that when I was doing this slide during the summer, it was still provisional, possibly still is down as provisional, but at some stage that will be fixed, and that is the document, the legal contract in a way with you for doing the course. The second website is called the Book of Modules, and the Book of Modules, so when you go in and you see that you have a 5-credit core module and it gives you the code. So for you, for doing postgraduate, most of them will be a 2-letter code. So for example, in electrical engineering, it's EE, and then it's 6 to indicate it's a master's level course, and there will be 3 other numbers. So in the Book of Modules, there is a course on computational systems biology, MB63300, okay? So whatever course you look up, EN, if it's English, there are different letter combinations used. You will see within that the kind of rules and regulations for the particular module. Okay, so it will tell you the assessment. So for this particular module, 70% of the assessment is based on the written exam, 30% is on continuous assessment. If you go further into the Book of Modules, it will then tell you that if you submit your continuous assessment late, you will be given a mark of 0 for this particular module. But other modules, it varies. It depends on the particular module. You know, if you're up to so many days late, it reduces by 10%. If you're so many after that, it reduces further. But the rubric is given in the Book of Modules of whatever the penalties are. But of course, you'll all be working very hard, and that won't apply to you anyhow. Then when you look at the formal written exam, it says in this case that it's a 1.5-hour exam that is held at the end of semester 2. Okay? And if something happens and you fail the module and you're allowed to repeat it, it then gives you information about the repeats, about the supplemental exams. Okay, so the Book of Modules gives you a kind of the structure of the course. It also gives you things like the content, the learning outcomes, etc. But I'm just honing in on the rules and regulations here at the moment. So every module that you will take will have an entry in the Book of Modules, and you can find out the structure there. The last document is basically the document that is used by the examination boards to determine the award that you get, okay? So some courses, for example, insist that you have to pass all of part 1, all of the taught modules, before you go to part 2, the dissertation modules. And that varies. It depends on the course, okay? It tells you things like that if, for example, you don't pass part 1, or if you don't pass the dissertation, what can you get? An exit award. a postgrad diploma. Or if something happens and you need to leave next June rather than continue for the full calendar year, what can you get? Can you get a postgraduate diploma? The marks and standards tells you things like that. Okay? It also tells you how the honours are awarded. So if your degree awards first class and second class honours, how that is calculated. Okay? Or if you're awarded distinction or merit, or there are various models used throughout the university. Okay? But the marks and standards gives you those rules and regulations. So, sorry for the boring bit. The one thing I would say is that probably most academics haven't a clue about these three documents either. So if you do get to look at them, you're entering a unique band of people who actually are interested enough to tease them out. But as I said, they are the type of, you know, if something doesn't sound right, if your course coordinator or lecturer is saying something about the module and it doesn't sound right, if you want, the first place you should check is in the book of modules, the calendar, the marks and standards. That will give you the definitive information about your course and will give you the contract that, in a way, you have signed into with UCC on what it's going to deliver with regard to the academic structure of it. Okay? So, welcome to UCC again. You're here for a year, possibly longer if you go on and do other things, or if your course structure is set. I hope you're all sitting here next year with your dissertation finished and ready to hand up, that you're not panicking at the last minute, that you have familiarized yourself with UCC and you've got to grips with the environment. You will learn in a minute about your UCC email address and how you get it and use it. The one thing I would say is that if you need information, a very good person to go to would normally be the administrative person in the school or the department that you're studying in. They are normally there 9 to 5, whereas an academic may or may not be in their office, etc. So if you're looking for information, they're sometimes a very good source of that information and will probably have heard your query before. Okay? The other thing is as Michelle has said, graduate studies, they're also a very good source of information if you have queries. The one thing I would say, and you will hear in a minute from the clubs and societies about, you are a UCC student, okay? We don't distinguish, well, we do distinguish between postgrad and undergrad, but with regard to student services, you are entitled to everything that the undergraduates are entitled to. So, for example, the counselling, the medical services, but more in particular, I would just like to point out to you, the career service. It is available for you to go and consult with them. As I said, it's only a year. If you're planning about what your next step is, maybe you need to start talking to the career service about that and about what you can do with the awards that you're studying. Okay? Good luck. I hope you enjoy your time in UCC. Welcome again. Yeah, I hope this time next year you're all getting ready to submit your dissertation.